We have breaking news now in campaign 2014. We're bringing you results from our exclusive Eyewitness News Providence Journal poll.
Outside the Rhode Island governor's race, the hottest statewide matchup is the battle over Attorney General.
And just last week, we had candidates Peter Kilmartin, the Democratic incumbent, and Dawson Hodgson, the Republican, in our studios for a debate.
And now we can tell you where they stand with voters just 3 weeks from Election Day. Eyewitness News reporter Tim White is here now with the results of our exclusive poll.
We asked 500 likely voters who they would vote for in the Attorney General's race if the election were held today. Let's take a look at the numbers. Right now, current Attorney General Peter Kilmartin has 46% of the vote. His challenger, Dawson Hodgson, is getting 32%. But our poll shows 20% aren't sure yet who they're going to vote for. Eyewitness News political analyst and pollster Joe Fleming says even though Kilmartin has a 14-point lead, Hodgson has signs of hope.
Due to the fact that Peter Kilmartin is an incumbent and he's not over that 50% mark, which means anything could possibly happen. The big thing is money. Can Dawson get his message out to the voters over the next 3 weeks? Does he have the resources to get out there and compete on TV with the governor candidates so he doesn't get drowned out with his message?
Voters who say they are independents make up the largest group of undecided voters in this race, and Fleming says that's a key area for Hodgson to target in order to close that gap. Now, coming up in just 30 minutes, results from another statewide race, those looking to replace Ralph Malus as Secretary of State. Tim White, Eyewitness News.
We have breaking news now in campaign 2014. We're bringing you the results of our exclusive Eyewitness News Providence Journal poll.
The Office of Secretary of State has been in the news a lot lately as Ralph Malus has launched an investigation into possible lobbying violations in the 38 Studios deal.
But Malus can't run again due to term limits, and now two candidates are vying to replace him. Let's get to Eyewitness News reporter Tim White for the exclusive results in our campaign 2014 poll.
Well, despite that recent spotlight on the Office of Secretary of State, there are still a lot of people unplugged in the race to replace Ralph Malus. Here are the results. Of the 500 likely voters we polled, Democrat Nellie Gorbea has 41% of the vote. Republican John Carlovale has 27%, but 30% of those we polled say they still don't know who they want for the next Secretary of State. Eyewitness News political analyst and pollster Joe Fleming tells me this is one race where voters may wait until the last minute to make up their mind.
Tim, I really believe a lot of people don't even know what the Secretary of State in Rhode Island does. If you ask them what their job is, you're going to get a lot of different answers. I don't think people zero in on this race at all. But right now, Nellie has a very big financial advantage, which really should help her in the last 3 weeks of this campaign. It's going to be very hard for the Republican here to really close the gap if he doesn't have the money.
Right now, Gorbea is winning with all subgroups, so that's age and gender that we examined. With one obvious exception, Carlovale is leading with Republicans. New at 6, results in the race to replace Gina Raimondo as treasurer and the tightest down ballot race in this poll, the office of Lieutenant Governor. Tim White, Eyewitness News.
We have breaking news now in campaign 2014. We're bringing you results from our exclusive Eyewitness News Providence Journal poll.
We first brought you results in the race for Attorney General on Eyewitness News at 5. Right now, Democratic incumbent Peter Kilmartin is leading with 46% of the vote.
His challenger, Republican Dawson Hodgson, is getting 32%, but our polls show 20% aren't sure yet who they're going to vote for.
And now we take a look at the results in what's turning out to be a tight race in the office of Lieutenant Governor and who's in the lead to replace Treasurer Gina Raimondo.
Eyewitness with the exclusive campaign 2014 poll results. Tim?
Well, Mike Shannon, we asked 500 likely voters who they think they'll vote for in each statewide race, and these results show there is a battle brewing in the campaign for Lieutenant Governor. Due to term limits, current Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Roberts is leaving the State House after 8 years in office, and two major candidates, Democrat Daniel McKee and Republican Catherine Taylor, as well as two others, are in the hunt. Right now, our poll shows McKee has 36% of the vote to Taylor's 27%. Moderate William Gilbert is getting 3%, while Libertarian Tony Jones has just 2% of the vote. But with 31% still undecided,
for those
Eyewitness News political analyst Joe Fleming says this is a race to watch.
People can only focus in on so many races. This one, it looks like people have not focused in.
At the other end of the State House, another vacancy, the office of General Treasurer. Democrat Seth has a solid lead at 47%, with independent Ernie Almonte running second at 34% of the vote. 17% of those we polled say they aren't sure yet.
These two candidates are out there working hard.
Fleming says Magaziner and Almonte spent campaign cash early to reach out to voters.
Both are getting their TV message out there right now. So I think that's one reason why the undecided is down on this race.
Fleming says with a heated governor's race and a Providence mayoral campaign, it's more challenging in the final weeks for these lesser-known races to garner any attention. Mike, Shannon?
And Tim, we should point out, too, our poll shows that all down-ballot races, so Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor, so on, the Democratic candidates are leading the way right now.
Yeah, all of them are, and something to keep in mind. So we have Peter Kilmartin, he's the incumbent, and just being in that position, you garner a lot of exposure. But the other three races also all had a primary. So usually primaries are expensive and they can be bruising, but here's a benefit to a primary in that you get a lot of exposure when you're trying to fend off your opponent.
All right, Tim, very interesting. Thank you. And we're not done yet. Our exclusive poll coverage continues tomorrow morning with the matchup we're all waiting for to see who's leading in the governor's race. We'll have those results tomorrow on Eyewitness News this morning, starting at 4:30.
And speaking of the race for governor, next Tuesday, 1 week from tonight, catch the first live debate between the three major candidates right here on WPRI 12. We'll be live from PPAC starting at 7 p.m. as Gina Raimondo, Alan Fung, and Robert Healy square off.
And we'll have much more coverage of our exclusive poll. It's on our website. Use our interactive page to get a complete breakdown of the key races as the results are released. It's all on WPRI.com.